Today we're going to look at how to convert a royalty fraction to a decimal. Now, for those of you that are in the land side of the oil and gas business, you know that what we give to the landowner is an oil and gas lease, or they give it to us, that gives us permission to drill on their land. What they get in exchange is not only a bonus payment, but also a royalty payment. And that royalty payment is inserted into a blank on the oil and gas lease, and it's inserted as a fraction. So why do we need to convert that fraction into a decimal? Well, the reason is when it comes to paying the royalty owner, and when we're doing all of these calculations, it is more precise to use decimals than it is to fractions. Because with decimals, we can literally go out to the 8th decimal place and make sure that we pay that mineral owner correctly, exactly to the penny. So that's why we need to use decimals instead of fractions. So we take what's inserted into the lease and we convert that into a fraction. So let's look at how that's done. Well, the general rule is when you're converting fractions to decimals is that you divide the numerator by the denominator. Divide the numerator by the denominator. So if you have a fraction, let's just use 1/2, that top number is going to be the numerator and the bottom number is going to be the denominator. So when you want to convert the fractions, what you do is you take the numerator, that's this number, and you divide it by the denominator, this number. Now the first thing you do is you go, well, I must have that wrong because I know that 2 can't go into 1. Maybe this 1 should be over here and this 2 should be over here. No, you're doing it right. What we're trying to do is get it down to the decimal, get that all the way down to the what the decimal would be. So to do that, we know that 2 can't go into 1, so we put this little decimal here. Oops, that's not a decimal. Let's try that again. We put a decimal there, and then we're going to add a 0. So now we do know that 2 can go into 10, but because we put that decimal there, we're going to bring it up on top 2, and then 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. 0, 2 goes into 0 0 times, and so 1/2 equals 0.50. That makes sense, right? Well, one thing that I want to give you a little bit of advice of. First, I wanted you to see how to do this longhand, so kind of give you a refresher from your 6th grade math. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to show you what happens a lot of times is we just then refer to our calculator. So the way this would work in a calculator is you divide the numerator by the denominator, and that gives you the 0.5. Now, when we're dealing with division orders, the basic tool that most division order analysts use is an Excel spreadsheet. And the reason that an Excel spreadsheet is beneficial is because if I got the wrong number here, I wouldn't know where I messed up. Did I plug in the numerator incorrectly? Did I plug in the denominator incorrectly? Did I hit an extra key? There's no way to tell when you're dealing with a calculator. But if you deal with an Excel spreadsheet, you can actually do the calculation. So anytime you do a calculation in Excel, it starts with an equal sign. So I'm going to say equal, and I'm going to divide the numerator, which is this cell A3, divide the numerator by the denominator, which is whatever number is in here. So that is what the calculation is. So if we do the one that we just looked at, 1, 2, see, I messed up again, 2. Now at least I know what it is. That answer is a 0.5. So now I know, is this correct? Let me go back and make sure that I plugged it in correctly. So I just wanted to start off that way. That I know a lot of times it's tempting just to reach for that calculator and start calculating, but if you can discipline yourself to setting up an Excel spreadsheet whenever you start working with these formulas, it's going to really help you out. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson today. which is converting this royalty interest fraction. So we showed you how to do it for a 1/2. So now let's look at it for a 1/8 royalty. The problem says John F. Kennedy leases 160 acres to Cuban Drilling for a 1/8 royalty. What is JFK's royalty decimal? So we got the 1 divided by the 8. We know the 1 is the divider, the numerator, and 8 is the denominator. So we're going to divide this numerator, which is 1, by the denominator. Oops, shoot. By the denominator. Divide the 1 by the denominator, which is the 8. And once again, you're going to be tempted to say, well, wait, I must have this set up wrong because 8 can't go into 1. It must be 1 divided by 8. But no, as long as you have it set up with the numerator being here, divided by that denominator, you're going to be correct. So let's look at 8 goes into 1/8. 8 goes into 1. So 8 goes into 1 0 times, but 8 goes into 10 1 time. Now I'm going to put my decimal here. That's 1 time. 1 times 8 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. 8 can't go into 2, so I'm going to bring down another 0. Now 8 can go into 20, we know 2 times, because 2 times 8 is 16. So bring our 16 down here, subtract. That leaves us with 4. 8 still can't go into 4. We're going to bring down another 0. 8 goes into 40. 5 times 8 is 40. So 1/8 equal a 0.125 royalty interest. So put 125 here. We can check it with a calculator if we want. 1 divided by 8. Or we can use our discipline and we can go to an Excel spreadsheet. And we would put in the numerator a 1, in the denominator an 8. And then here, one neat thing you can do with Excel is if you put a plus sign, see when it turns into a plus sign? Now it's a fat plus sign, now it's a skinny plus sign. You can actually drag that down and it'll calculate the next cell for you. So right there you can see 1/8 is equal to 0.125, and I can go and verify that I plugged in the 1 and that I plugged in the 8. So that is problem 1. These are coming from the Basic Oil and Gas Calculations Manual that was presented at NADOA by Sherry Robinson and myself. So I will make that book available. It will be available to my students on the online software. And I will see about getting it added to the website so I can make it available there too. So let's look at the next problem in the Oil and Gas Calculations Manual.